Hello and welcome once again to Newsmo, where I bring you a daily take on one of the top stories of the day. Today, one of our top stories comes from the contentious issue revolving around the Gyan Vapi dispute in Varanasi. The dispute between Hindu and Muslim groups over the right to worship. Today, a district court rejected the plea of a Muslim group which questioned the maintainability of a petition that seeks permission for daily worship of Hindu deities whose idols are located on an outer wall of the Gyan Vapi mosque in Varanasi. Now, as a result of what the district court has ordered, the court will continue therefore to hear the petition of the Hindu groups who are seeking the right to worship these deities on the outer wall of the mosque. But it goes beyond just Gyan Vapi. Gyan Vapi itself has been tangled for years. Remember the BJP's VHP slogan in the build-up to the demolition of the Babri Masjid in Ayodhya in 1992 was Ayodhya to jhaki hai, Kashi Mathura baki hai. This was the slogan of the times. And in a way, this was, remember, when the BJP was not the dominant party in power at the time, was not in power, and the Sangh Parivar was not as wildly influential as it is today, 30 years later. So we've 30 years from the demolition of the Babri Masjid, which, let's make it clear, was described by no less than the Supreme Court as a criminal act. 30 years later, we've reached a stage where the battlegrounds have shifted to Varanasi. Now, what this does is throw up very tricky legal and political questions, because the politics will continue to, in a way, roil on, especially in the lead up to 2024. The legal constitutional questions will revolve around the Places of Worship Act, brought in the aftermath of the Babri Masjid demolition, to try and ensure that status quo was maintained on all places of worship, that the religious character of any place of worship as it existed on the 15th of August 1947 was not changed. Now, as a result of what's happening with the Gyan Vapi mosque case, the question marks will arise over the Places of Worship Act. An act passed by Parliament, an act which now has been challenged in the Supreme Court. The pressure will be there to have the act reviewed. And thereby you are, in my view, opening up more and more fault lines. Because, as I said at the outset, Ayodhya, Varanasi, Mathura, all of which are top of the VHP-BJP's agenda, but who knows what happens in the future? Which are the other places which will again become parts of contentious religious disputes. And once you bring religious into the political realm, as it has in this case, then in my view, you are playing with fire. At a time when we need to look into the future, the last thing we need to do is reopen the wounds of the past. Think about it.
For more informative videos like this, keep watching India Today Newsmo.